Hello everyone, my name is Aaron Christensen. This is Horror 101 with Dr. AC, a gathering place for fellow fiends the world over to discuss all things freaky and frightening. If you want to be part of the conversation, and I hope you do, I invite you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, maybe go back and check out some of our previous episodes, leave a comment, and most importantly, let us know the fright flicks you'd like to discuss in the future. That kind of connection is exactly what we're looking for, and it really does make a difference. We're all about sharing the scare, and we want to hear from you. Tonight's episode is a very special episode in that we're doing a throwback to last year, 2022, during October when we were running the Scare-A-Thon. And I was just toying with the idea of having this channel. And so I got together with a couple of my horror-loving puppet friends, Lucy Ball and Chad the Bird. And we chatted about a bunch of movies that were celebrating significant anniversaries last year, 2022. You'll notice my sound is not as good. The camera is not as good. I have considerably less hair. And this is an opportunity for us to kind of celebrate how far we've come. I'm wishing you all a happy and safe Halloween. And I hope you enjoy this encore presentation of Tricks, Treats, Birds, and Balls from 2022. See you in November. Hello, everybody. This is Aaron Christensen with Horror 101 with Dr. AC, and this is Scare-A-Thon 2022, benefiting the Women's Reproductive Rights Assistance Project. My guests tonight are Chad the Bird and Lucille Ball. I will bring them in now, and ta-da! Look at that.
Are you seeing
Hey,
me?
everybody.
I can see you and hear you. This is awesome.
Oh, thank goodness.
Because we are going to be talking about some amazing films that are celebrating their anniversaries this year. We have films from 1972, 1982, 1992, 1997, and 2002, which seems bananas that 2002 was 20 years ago, but here we are. We're going to talk about our 1972 films. So films that are celebrating their 50th, their golden anniversary. Is it golden or silver? But Lucy, tell us what was your pick from 1972?
Well, first, it blows my mind to think of 1972 as 50 years ago.
Does it? You are an interdimensional being.
Well, yeah, but the 70s were a happening, groovy time, right?
True. Early 70s, no less.
Yeah,
still the 60s, really.
Basically, so this one, speaking of 60s, is a Vincent Price vehicle, and that's Dr. Phibes Rises Again.
Nice.
This is the sequel to the abominable Dr. Phibes, and I always sort of looked at that movie as like Saw before Saw, because it's all about like vengeance, and there's all sorts of cockamamie contraptions that are like really convoluted, but it's awesome. Vincent Price serves, for lack of a better word. He's just amazing in there. And this second one here, they think he's dead again, and then he comes back 3 years later, and he's trying to bring his wife back while the moon is like, I don't know, in certain alignment or something. It's very strange, but it's got all sorts of cool imagery, and Vincent Price just chews scenery everywhere he goes, and that makes it worth the price of admission alone.
Truth.
Agreed. And I would say I like this film a lot. I also, I feel like it's kind of like the first two Phibes movies, because the first Phibes, he's following like the Egyptian curses, right?
Yeah.
That Moses visits upon the Pharaoh. And this one just kind of feels like a free-for-all. It's like, this would be cool too.
Yeah, they got a sarcophagus, so it's sort of in theme, but that's about as far as it goes.
Like as far as themes go, and I feel like these were both like a dry run for Theater of Death, which came out or Theater of Blood rather, which came out the next year, 1973, and that's one of my favorite Vincent Price movies, and that's kind of continuing the creative kills where it's all based on plays from Shakespeare.
Ooh,
Wait, so Theater of Blood is based on Shakespeare plays? Like you murder, like somebody's just like, alas, poor Yorick, and it's like, oh shit, that was Shelley from earlier.
Oh,
yeah.
Look, Chad went to college, everybody. He's quoting Shakespeare.
I mean, I gotta get my degree out there. So
That's right. Good thing they just opened that theater factory down the road.
Yeah, thank goodness.
But yeah, Chad, you've seen Dr. Phibes as well?
Yeah, I did. Like, these are when we're getting into the 70s movies. This is when I'd be hanging out with my roommates, and they're like, "Hey, man, we're gonna smoke this bowl, and we're gonna watch these old movies." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll remember images." So like, I'm really good. I love that. Like below me, it just says 1972, and I'm like, there I was, 2010. Hi,
you gotta
watching
put
movies
the
from
Creedence Clearwater.
1972. Exactly. Nom. I was in the shit. But yeah, I've seen it. I've Dr. Phibes. I've seen the first one, obviously. Yeah. But like, this is one of those ones where it was like Technicolor Dreams, and I don't remember much of it. So it's nice to recap it with you, especially you, Dr. AC.
Well, what was funny is you said Images, and Images is another movie that came out in 1972, directed by Robert Altman, which is another one that I'll throw in later on as a honorable mention. So I'll just do that early.
Rick Tyndall says The Legend of Boggy Creek was 1972, and he and I have already discussed this film, and we have, but I will like to talk about it again sometime. But right now, we're talking about the Dr. Phibes film. Which I always like to see Vincent Price just in anything. I'm fine.
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
don't care what's going on.
That guy.
Trash watch movies from the 70s have a different flavor than trash watch movies from any other decade.
Oh yeah.
He is always having fun, and that's the thing I love about Vincent Price is that he just sunk his teeth into it and just was having a ball, and he always brought his A game, and I love that about him.
I love the idea that like they interviewed him, like they were like, well, they emailed, oh my god. Anyway, so they sent him a letter. They called him on the telephone, and we're like, hey, Vincent, all right, so go with me on this. This is the plot. And he's like, "Oh, it sounds delightful. I don't care. just show me where the trailer is and bring me some gin." And then like he shows up on set and they're like, "All right, your lines are there's no way out." And he's like, "Perfect. Gin and then take." And he's just like, "There's no way out." They're like, "Perfect. Cut. Print. Great. All right, moving on."
Vinny, baby, look at the camera. Mwah, it's magic.
Mwah. Fucking chef's kiss, man.
Yeah, he's so deliciously arch in these Dr. Phibes movies, and I just love it so much.
Without even trying to be, his face, he has resting arch face.
Well, what I love is that we're making all these delicious comments, and he was a gourmet chef as well.
Whoa, I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Gourmet chef, like openly bisexual.
That's the part I knew.
just cigarette smoking, man, smoking jacket across the board. Good guy to know. Like his daughter's memoirs are like the best.
Yeah.
Victoria just talk about how cool he actually was.
And like mustache.
Yeah. Well, I got to meet Victoria Price at one point.
Did you?
At a flashback weekend in Chicago. And she's talking about her dad, and it's just like, yeah, he's every bit as wonderful and genteel as you assume. And it's nice to know, like, never meet your heroes, but like you should have met Vincent Price because he was legit like the best. And there are. Yeah, D. Crushley says there's a cookbook or two by him, and that is true.
That is super true. His grandfather or his great grandfather invented, I think, baking powder, and so they were like
I didn't know that. Yeah, that's awesome.
They were riptoriously rich, and so he did well. And he's from St. Louis. Everybody thinks he's like an East Coast guy, but
no, he's Midwestern.
He just carries that class with him.
I love the idea that he is from the baking soda fortune.
Yeah, so
baking powder.
Here's a way to make
powder.
Food. A baking powder. Excuse me.
There is a difference. Any bakers
actually
out there
don't substitute baking powder for baking soda. That's
do not do that. Yeah,
that's a poor cheesecake if you make that.
It's cool to know that the movie weirdos love the prices for Vincent, and drug dealers love his grandfather for the baking powder.
For the baking powder, because like, how else are you gonna make your sale? You don't have that kind of money. It was
baking powder. What's the line from Scary Movie? Baking powder, not baking soda, or else guys will have muffins growing out of their nose. I think that's the line.
Yeah, man, I really wish I would have gotten to know Vincent Price back then. I really do, because I feel like he'd be the kind of guy to be like, "Hey, remember when you were a vampire?" He's like, "Oh, I still am, darling. Would you like some flan?" And like, "Yes, please."
I'm afraid you'll have to be more specific. There are a lot of vampires.
Welcome to Vincent Price's reviews of The Damned. Good bed and breakfasts. Oh, we're talking tonight about Mrs. Johansson's bed and breakfast off I-95. It's a bit I'm working on. I'm going to do it. Vincent Price's reviews of the damned good bed and breakfasts.
Yeah, I
love
like
it.
that. That's good. That's good.
Thank you.
It. Well, from one low budget AIP film to another, Chad, what was yours?
Yeah. So mine was, first of all, thank you for putting it together, for like going with me on this. Mine was 1972's Frogs!
Frogs! Wow.
By George McCowan. George McCowan, who basically just did like TV for a while. He did like Mod Squad, I think, and like he did Starsky and Hutch, and he also did the fourth and final Magnificent Seven film, The Magnificent Seven Ride, and then he made he also did The Shape of Things to Come at one point.
Oh wow!
But he also took a Smithy at one point, which I think is really cool about this guy, because he made a movie called The Challenge, and he took a Smithy on that one. But yeah, he was he did a couple episodes of Fantasy Island, and then he made this wild ass fucking movie called Frogs, which is about Florida. And that's basically it. It's just about Florida. Like, don't go there because there's giant slugs and there's giant mosquitoes. And it's about a photographer who goes to shoot some stuff. And yeah, I mean, there's giant alligators, there's rattlesnakes. I mean, it's just, yeah, literally. It's just
who plays that photographer though?
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott, ladies and gentlemen.
The king, bud, is in the house.
Without his mustache.
Without a mustache. I mean, if you can handle it, I'm just saying, you can watch me do the thing.
Now, excuse me.
Okay, it's okay.
For as old as I am, we've talked about, I should know this. Is Sam Elliott, is that the cowboy guy from Big Lebowski? Okay.
Yes, yeah, you want some classic pre-Elliott, go watch him in Frogs as a photographer. It's basically like, Kong Skull Island without the plot.
Yes. Or any large...
without any special effects at all.
Exactly.
Like, it's just like, we're just gonna shoot these animals close up and make like Night of the Lepus kind of shit.
But there is some killer moss in there.
Yes,
as well.
There is some killer moss. I was
my
hoping
favorite.
to hold back on that. This is eco terror, which I think is something that we need to like explore more. Like The Ruins, I thought was a good little eco terror trash watch.
Yep.
But Frogs, I feel like started it all. I don't know if there was like a black and white earlier eco terror movie. I didn't do that deep a dive. I'm sure the doctor will correct me. But like, this is the one I always think of as like the grandfather of trash watch eco terror films. Well, and the fact that it's just called Frogs and you get what you pay for, and then they add on top of that also gators and also bugs. And you're like, holy shit, I didn't know there was going to be a buffet. It's all a la carte, by the way.
But also, could you think of a more menacing creature than the frog?
It's awful to think of a giant frog.
And basically, the frogs just basically hop over you until you die. You know, I'm like,
they played a banjo and hang out in a swamp and have a theater troupe, and they're married to a pig, and it's a whole weird thing.
It's a whole weird thing.
It's funny enough. I just heard about the what's his name, Robert Eggers prequel coming out called Tadpoles.
It's going to be a really deep, dark dive. Willem Dafoe is going to play
about the human psyche.
The human psyche. In the end, it's going to be kind of quasi-sexual, and it's going to make you uncomfortable across the board. I know you love it. Yeah, I want Robert Eggers to remake Frogs. Put it out there.
That would be kind of cool.
Because, like, it's going to be an disturbing movie you've ever seen.
Of like a tadpole becoming a frog. That's also like a visual representation of an egg being fertilized. It's going to be sexy.
The end of this movie also has an animated frog, which I really enjoy.
It does. That's right. And it also stars Ray Milland, who's a long way from winning his Oscar for The Long Weekend.
There he goes. Like, D. Crushley, 100%. You're right.
You just feel the bitterness streaming out of Ray Milland. It's like, what happened in my career?
If you haven't noticed, it's not a good movie. It's just bad. But it did happen, and they made a movie about killer frogs. And that's why
now we got to talk about it.
We got to talk about it. I don't know if there has been a good eco-terror film that I've seen recently, outside of Kong Skull Island, which I love.
D. Crushley is throwing in The Long Weekend, which is fantastic Ozploitation flick from 1978. Ooh. And thumbs up to that. And yeah, I mean, I think there. I mean, if you want to say eco horror, I mean, eco horror kind of goes back even as far as like the big bug craze from the 50s, because that was essentially, you know, nature striking back just on a larger scale, both, you know, figuratively and literally.
Right.
Earth
But-
versus Spider, them.
Yep,
all the
exactly
good
right.
Oh yeah,
stuff.
eight-legged freaks. You know that's another one that's like an
Hey,
eco
oh
terror
wow,
movie.
wow, that sounds kind of familiar.
Kind of
Hold on.
familiar. Yeah, I didn't mean to.
All in good time. All in good time.
Anytime. I'm just thinking of other movies. There's like I think Tremors I would classify as an
for
eco
sure.
terror movie.
Yeah.
How about
Which-
Zombies?
Zombies! I have
Yeah.
not met another creature on this planet, Lucy, that knows about zombies.
Come
What?
on, who you talking to? Who you talking
This is
to? here?
out.
Of
This
course,
is next
of course,
level,
I've
man.
seen Zombies.
This is new. This is huge. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. I don't know if I would
Pop
consider
that.
that eco horror.
It's horrible. I mean, there's that.
Yeah, it's terrible. I don't know if it's horror. It's supposed to be like a comedy. I don't even know if I put it up there.
All right. and I think-
Arachnophobia is probably the
Oh,
better
that's-
version
Yep,
of this.
Yep.
Because Arachnophobia stands strong as one of the finest horror films in the last couple of years, in my opinion. I love that movie. It still holds it.
I just realized that we had a triple crown from AIP that year with our 1972 picks, because I swung in with the anthology film
Tales
from
from
the
the
Yeah.
Death Lives.
1972, and that was one of their. It wasn't even their first anthology film, because they did Dr. Terror's House of Horrors back in 1965. But this is the one where it was actually based on stories from EC Comics by Bill Gaines. It has a great cast. You got Joan Collins, you got Peter Cushing, you got Patrick McGee, Ian Hendry. So if you're a fan of like Brit horror, this is Amicus, which was kind of like a rival to Hammer Studios, and this is my favorite of their anthology films. Even though it kind of has a crap wraparound story, I love the stories themselves. Have you guys seen this one?
Yeah, no, I remember watching this thinking this was Tales from the Crypt and being like, I am not as impressed
Yeah.
because I was
Where's the
expecting
friggin'
Tales from the
Crypt
Crypt.
Keeper?
Where's the
Yeah,
Crypt
right,
Keeper?
right.
Where's the goo? Where's the goo and boobs? Which is
Yep.
what I came here to see in Tales from the Crypt, not in this movie.
No.
But thing to note about this movie is that as far as Brit horror goes, you get into stuff like Ghost Story and like actually disturbing, quiet creep outs. Like this particular Tales from the Crypt, I think, is the best iteration of Tales from the Crypt
Yeah.
because it's closest to the books. And
Yeah,
then
for sure.
I really enjoyed that.
The comics,
And-
yeah.
I just really love the like oppressive gothic vibe in a lot
Sure.
of those old British horror films.
That's a good way of
It's
putting
awesome.
it. That's what I felt about Crimson Peak, is that it was oppressively gothic. Like, tone
I've
it
been-
down, dude.
I've been trying to get my eyeballs on Lair of the White Worm.
Oh,
whatever it's
yeah.
called. That's been a grail for me lately. I gotta see it.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I saw
Yeah.
that movie one night. I was legitimately on shrooms, and I think that movie should be watched on shrooms.
Duly noted. Duly noted.
Yeah, noted.
You got Peter Cushing plays one of his kind of most sad and empathetic characters in Arthur Grimsdyke in the middle story. But you got Joan Collins, who's being terrorized by Santa Claus after she offs her husband.
That's the best one. I think
Yep.
that's the best one, honestly.
Well,
It's
I
nice
like-
to see
that's-
Grand
they-
Moff
they-
Tarkin in the movie, but
they
like I love
opened
seeing
the,
it's like the Christmas nightmare.
They do that on the Tales from the Crypt TV show too. don't
Right, yeah, they
have
also do that
Yeah,
story.
they do that. It's like a kind of a riff on it. It's not the same story, but it's like close to it.
Yeah,
And-
loosely based.
And then I like Blind Alleys. There's like an asylum for the blind, and basically like the blind guys, all wreak havoc on the captain who's been, lording over them. So
Oh.
Well, it's a slow burn. Like all of them are like slow burns, which
Yeah.
is wild to see.
considering it's like they're 10-minute, 15-minute
Exactly right. Like how do you do slow burns in
It's
10
a
minutes?
long 15 minutes.
It's one of those movies you got to be in the mood to watch. Though, like it's not spicy. It's about as spicy as like store bought salsa.
Yeah,
So
it's
like
moody.
It's moody.
It's
Is the
super
way.
moody. And if you don't like one story, there's another one coming around the corner.
Coming right around. Don't worry about it. It's coming right.
All right, we got to move things along.
I love anthology horror.
Oh,
Give me
absolutely.
more.
Yeah.
New VHS is out.
It's
Very excited
awesome.
about that. Is it awesome?
Is that the 99?
Yeah. Our guy from fucking Deadstream is in
Yeah,
it.
Joseph Winters.
Yeah, and I heard he was great.
Oh yeah, his there's a segment made by Flying Lotus that is awesome. It's one of the standouts. And Joseph Winters' segment ends the movie out, and it's also awesome.
Oh, I'm so happy about that.
Yeah,
I just watched. We're not there yet. We're in the 80s.
I just watched. Was it 95? VHS 95, the one came out before this one.
That funeral parlor
vignette
that's a pretty good
one.
Awesome.
I like that one.
Yeah.
All right, let's flip forward into 1982, celebrating
Okay, sorry, I was setting the mood.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, that's what I like. Talking away, jumping. Oh, flip.
Lucy.
Yes.
What was your 1982 pick?
Oh, my 1982 is man, I'm gonna ruin this guy's name. Frank
Henenlotter, you got it.
Henenlotter, yeah. Frank Henenlotter's Basket Case, everybody.
Oh my God, this is one of my ride or die movies, Lucy. This made me so happy that you picked it.
I think this was the first truly schlocky thing I sat down and watched in my life, and it was just, man, it's something else. Basically, you got the story of this guy who goes to like some Skid Row hotel to live, and he's got this weird picnic basket he brings around. Picnic if you're a bear. And he brings it around everywhere, and you come to find out it's a freaky little guy, and it wreaks havoc on folks. And it's sort of a precursor to Malignant, in that Malignant is the exact same story.
Legit.
But it's awesome. The effects are crazy. The movie is just like bonkers, and it's like delightfully overacted, and it's just super entertaining. It's one of those. I don't even want to call it so bad that it's good, because the movie's actually really fun.
It is really fun. I don't think that movie's bad.
I agree.
It's got a trash watch vibe about it just because of subject matter, but like in terms of like actual execution, it's well done.
And it's got the best exploding sex worker scene I've
100%.
ever seen in film.
Wait, G. Crushley says that the music video for Take On Me references a scene in Ken Russell's Altered States.
Whoa.
Interesting.
Could that be true?
Well, we'll have to Google it later.
Well, nobody just goes on the internet and tells lies. So
yeah,
that is also true.
Everything you read is true.
Wow.
I think that's awesome. What a good take. I love that movie. I think Basket Case, I love the entire series. All like conceived by the one guy that created it. Like it's like a George Romero situation.
Yeah, and I've never seen the sequels, honestly, but that first Basket Case is just it's a treat.
It is.
They're all fun.
And you've got. I mean, there's the Frank Henenlotter actually, like, he's super embarrassed by this movie, but even though it like made his career. Because he's like nobody's actually going to watch this movie, are they? Like, he was like basically making it to like, you know, get his foot in the door. He didn't think they'd actually play it, but it played like midnight screenings for like, I think like a full year in Times Square.
Because it's awesome. And that noise that Belial makes, it's great. It's so good.
It's like a rubber lump puppet.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it.
It's the best way to do it.
I like to think they had a different design in mind, and then all the liquid latex just melted together, and they were like,
"Go with it. This is perfect.
I can't afford to do it again, so we'll make this work. Put it in a picnic basket."
Oh My 82 was a little film you may have heard of called Friday the 13th Part 3.
Wait a minute, what?
Yeah, that's true. Here's the thing about this movie. This is the first time. Like, okay, the thing about the Friday the 13th oeuvre is that none of them are great.
Yes.
The only one that is great is the one with Corey Feldman in it.
Yes, the final chapter.
That's the only watchable one.
No, Jason Takes Manhattan. He punches a guy's head off.
No, Jason Takes Manhattan is bullshit because he only goes to Manhattan the last 5 minutes of that movie. The only one that I love of that is Jason X, because of
Yeah, that one.
everything that happens in that movie.
Yeah, that's Kino. That's a
Oh,
good
man.
one.
It is next level stupid. But Jason doesn't have his mask in the first two because in the first movie, as we all know, spoiler alert, it's his mom that is the murderer in the first one.
That's
the
right.
second one, he's in it, but he's got a sack on his
Got a
head.
sack on his head with
This
one
is the
little eye.
one where he gets his mask. So
Yep.
this is the one that starts the thing, which is wild about the Friday the 13th franchise. Because, like, nobody can tell me, like, how any of these movies go. They just know Jason Voorhees has a mask. The only one that most of the humans I've taught you remember is Freddy versus Jason,
Yeah.
which is fine because all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies slap. But like Friday the 13th was such a monumental franchise, but like none of them are ever like that memorable. And I think that Friday the 13th Part 3 is the one that needs to be noted because this is where the Jason Voorhees that we know
That's right.
began is in this moment.
And it was also born during the 3D craze of the early 80s. So like there was so many like coming at you gags throughout this movie. Like you get that spear gun. Actually, I think, like the spear gun that comes right at the camera. I the first time I saw this movie was in 1982, and I saw it at a drive-in, no less. And it was a triple feature of parts 1, 2, and 3 back when there only were 1, 2, and 3.
Right. But like, didn't Stephen Miner do was it the second one, right?
He did the second and the third.
And the third one. So but he also did Halloween H2O.
That's right.
Which I think is important to note. Because like as much as I want to crap on Friday the 13th Part 3, Stephen Miner created one of my favorite Halloween movies.
Don't shut up. That's not one of your favorite Halloween movies. You're talking out your ass right now.
I love Halloween H2O and I stand by it.
Oh my God. Wow.
Is it good? No.
You
Is
think
it great?
you know
Yes.
a guy. You think you know a guy.
Oh, I think it's interesting to note that Dr. AC and I both watched Coming At You on a 3D television in my apartment.
That is true.
And realized that the entire first half of Kill Bill 2 is ripped from Coming At You.
Stolen wholesale
Whole cloth
from the Italian spaghetti western Coming At You. So
starring Counselor Troy from the Star Trek Next Generation is in that movie.
You mean to tell me that Quentin Tarantino wholesale ripped off a spaghetti western? I don't believe it.
I know.
All right, we have a lot of questions in the chat right now talking about baby snakes.
Oh,
everybody wants to talk about baby snakes. Dr. AC, talk about baby snakes.
Well, they come out of an egg.
I have not seen baby snakes unless it's known by some other title.
Well, there we go. Now
Chad,
we know.
Have you seen?
I have not seen baby snakes, but I'm excited.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint.
Are you talking about Hiss?
Ooh,
the Triple S, whatever movie that was.
That's actually 1977, I think.
Oh, we're going back in time. We don't want to.
That's really. I like that. There's also one called Spasms, but I think that came out in 82, 81, something like that. But I have not seen Baby Snakes, but I will make it my life's mission.
Yeah, for real.
To check it out.
They got a triple X.
Thank you for the clarification, Dexter. So it's not necessarily a horror film; it's a concert film.
Oh well, then, like, how is that even remotely what we're talking?
You know
about
what? But it's been recommended, and I will take the recommendation.
Oh yeah, I mean, honestly, you guys just won't shut the hell up about it.
You talked about Spasms. They got a triple X parody called Gasms. Come on. Oh man. But
whoa, wait. D. Crushley says, I have seen Baby Snakes, but it is an eerie claymation by Bruce Bickford. Okay. Okay, bud. Interested.
I've seen Baby Snakes at the San Diego Zoo.
Meanwhile, Friday the 13th Part 3 is just as unwatchable as the first three. But like when you get into the later
But it meant something to you.
But it meant something to me because it's the first time Jason gets his hockey mask.
That's right.
Which created one of the most iconic horror demons of all time.
For sure.
Which is wild because like the whole Jason Voorhees thing just wasn't anything. And it except for Jason X, and I stand by that movie. But like Freddy Krueger should have won. I'm just saying, Freddy should have won.
Well, he's still. Oh, I'm not going to spoil a 25-year-old movie or whatever.
Yeah, but for God's sake, yeah, come on.
yeah.
Preserve it, my friend. Preserve
You
it.
got to let that.
But yeah,
twist
everything that you
shine.
love about Friday the 13th comes from Friday the 13th Part 3.
Yeah, totally.
That's why I thought that should
But
be represented.
I do gotta say, all of those movies have at least one like really stellar kill in them. Like Tom Savini really like put his foot in that shit.
Sure. I think this is the one with the like not the what the fuck is it? It's
Wow.
the
Having a stroke. What's happening?
what's the kill in this movie that everybody knows it for? It's
The
not
harpoon
a
gun?
pitchfork. It's a harpoon gun. Thank you.
You mean the thing I cited earlier?
Yeah,
it is.
We
But
just
I'm like,
talked about that.
I don't remember what the name of it was because I was too busy getting mad about how bad the 13th movies are.
He smokes a lot of marijuana.
I'm high, dude.
Got it,
It's
got it.
legal here.
That's
You
totally
live
cool.
here. Anyway,
Live
yeah, the
and
harpoon
dream.
kill is amazing.
Well, speaking of amazing kills, I'm going to jump to my 1982 film, which is
Yeah!
from
Which is
1982.
on Shudder right now. I just
Yep.
texted Lucy about that.
And everybody should see this movie.
Yeah, 100%.
Totally, yeah.
Because it is not only super, super gory, it's super, super ridiculous. And it has amazing lines of dialogue, like the most beautiful thing in the world is smoking pot and fucking on a waterbed at the same time.
Correct.
Man, they knew what they were about in the 80s.
That's right.
and
There's
I love that.
also Linda J. George's immortal incantation of bastards, bastards,
Bastards,
bastards.
bastards.
If you have not already seen this, folks, please YouTube that baby up and
Yeah.
just put in bastards, bastards, bastards from pieces, and you will not be disappointed.
Like this is what you want from a late night pizza and beer horror movie. Pieces should be up there with Rocky Horror and
Yep.
The Room as like a midnight movie that's on every Saturday at midnight at a theater.
I've had the good fortune of seeing this in the big theater on the big screen and having an entire audience shout bastards, bastards, bastards right along with it.
That's awesome.
I'm actually super mad that the Music Box in Chicago doesn't show this movie enough.
No,
Like this
well,
should
sure.
be
They have
all
shown
the
it.
time.
They
have
this-
shown it,
Yeah.
but it should be every Saturday.
It should just be not nonstop. It should just be the Pieces
Yeah.
Theater.
Well, I think because if you're gonna show Tommy Wiseau's film and the
Right.
Rocky Horror movie, like why are you not showing Pieces, which is arguably a better movie than all of those movies?
Well, you got to get a shadow cast going on, and then
Also,
we
that
would be cool though.
That and
would be
Slumber Party
awesome.
Massacre too should
Oh,
also.
that would
be
also
on.
be a great shadow. Oh man.
Yeah,
oh man,
legit.
yeah, there you go. There you go. Well, we're gonna blaze into 1992.
Oh man, we are on fire, everybody!
We are
God,
rolling.
we just rocketed through time.
Go ahead.
My 1992 pick is one that Dr. Giggles.
Yeah!
I'll say. But it's
oh my
one of those
God! I was so
movies
happy
that-
to know that you picked this movie.
Oh yeah, it's one of those movies that if you're old enough to remember a video store, you would walk by this and be like, "What the hell? What is this all about?" And man, oh man, what the hell is this all about?
What the hell is this all about?
It's and also lovingly referenced in Ludacris's voice on Holiday Inn by Chingy there, Dr. Giggles. I
No
will
doubt.
stop until it tickles.
Also, they make a joke about it on Mystery Science Theater 3000 at one point. Somebody says, it's Dr. Giggles, and I lost my shit because I was like, wow, what a reference.
But this it's a very weird one. It's in a little town, and these patients of this doctor keep disappearing, and they find out that a father and son duo have been stealing their hearts, trying to bring back the doctor's wife. And
Yeah, no,
they
it's gross. So you should be nauseous.
yeah, I
at this
kind of
point.
gagged a little. And
Right.
they stoned him to death, not like our good pal down here, but with rocks, like biblically. And yeah, it's crazy. It's one of those movies that I couldn't tell you what happens in it for the life of me, but I just laughed and laughed and
Lucy,
laughed
I gotta
the whole
jump
thing.
in, man. I've seen this movie like 10 times and I don't remember anything except for that one time that kid is like inside a body and like
Whoa.
cuts his way out.
Yeah.
That's the only
well-
part I remember the most.
Dr. Giggles escapes,
Yeah.
like that's how he gets out of the asylum.
Yep. That's the beginning of the movie.
Oh man.
Outside
so
of that, I just remember dude who does it is the guy from what's his name?
Larry Drake.
Larry Drake. There he is. He was in he was even in Demolition Man at one point. But like he always shows up in these movies, and like he's such an 80s icon, like dude that you know from a film. He like dresses like R.K. Maroon from like Who Framed Roger Rabbit in every movie, but like he's the original. And this movie was like, let's take this character actor from like every 80s like TV show and make him a horror icon. And I stand by that he is one of those guys that should have been up there with Freddy and Jason. Dr. Giggles is the shit.
Well,
like,
and it's got one of my favorite fourth wall breaks as he's laying there and looks into camera and goes, "Is there a doctor in the house?"
Yeah,
good stuff. Good stuff.
Oh man, what a reference! This is why we're friends.
Larry Drake was like on L.A. Law, and he was playing like a mentally challenged character, and he played something similar to that in Dark Knight of the Scarecrow.
Love that movie. Oh man.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they did Dark Man, and he played
I was
gonna say
he's also in Dark Man, which is an underrated classic.
That's the Sam Raimi joint. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the Sam Raimi
superhero.
One,
and I feel like that was the one that kind of like
superhero with Liam Neeson.
That gave him the opportunity to play this character because he got the opportunity to show a dark side. And it was Yeah, he's so awesome at this one.
Dr. Giggles is a great Halloween watch. Like it's a solid Halloween treat kind of movie. Because it's stupid funny and like gory and dumb. And like when it's over, you're like, oh man, I love Halloween.
But it falls in the same category to me as those movies like Dentist or
Corbin Bernsen. Corbin Bernsen is Dentist.
Those movies that you just see the box art in the video store and you're like, whoa. Well, that's coming home.
Which is wild because Dr. Giggles is such an intense title. It's not like The Doctor or like Fizz Dead or something like that. It's
Fizz
like,
Dead,
no,
that's awesome. I like that.
It's just Dr. Giggles.
Was there did Dr. Giggles ever get a sequel?
Yeah, there was a second one. It was
okay.
Yeah, I'd never seen that one.
Don't worry about it. You're fine.
All right.
I think it was.
I don't know. I got to see the whole cinematic universe.
No, I think it was on like Showtime or something like that. I would love a crossover where like Dr. Giggles showed up with
the
ice cream man and like the ginger dead man and Jack Frost.
Oh, and Horny the Clown
and Horny the Clown. Yeah,
that would be awesome. Yeah.
This is deep cut shit. If you're not a horror person,
I hope you have your notepads out, folks.
Yeah, seriously, Google all this.
Have you ever been to a Redbox? If so, this is
Chad, what's your 92?
It's a little movie. I think that really resonates nowadays because it's about high tech shit. It's called The Lawnmower Man, and like. I love seeing the poster. This poster does not do the movie justice. This poster is so cool.
Well,
this movie is not.
I'm like, who is looking to see this?
Yeah, no, this is not the movie
I want.
This is not the movie that you get when you see this movie. I just wanted to put it out there because this movie has a couple of amazing moments. Sure. One of them is Pierce Brosnan. And this is a shout out to my friend Jason Mantzoukas. This is Pierce Brosnan playing a man named Larry, which I think is amazing because disagree that his name is Larry. And also this movie is about virtual reality. And like now, because this is like at the time when like humans were like experimenting with, you had the Virtual Boy. And like all of a sudden everybody's like, oh man, virtual reality is going to be the new thing. And then like, it sucked, and then like this movie made it look like it was going to be awesome. It wasn't, and now we have virtual reality, and it's super cool.
It is,
but
awesome.
Like this movie is about how somehow you can download your goo into the internet, and that happens to Jeff Fahey in the movie. It like sucks his whole body into the internet, and then he becomes a god. And then they made a sequel with Matt Frewer, aka Max Headroom. But like this one, yeah, that's true. Dexter Bravo said, isn't it like really loosely based on a Stephen King story? Okay, it is, but
no,
loosely,
it's not. It's
no.
not.
Hear me out. The only connection between this movie and the Stephen King short story, The Lawnmower Man, is a scene where a cop comes to somebody's house and says verbatim what the cop says in the short story. That's it. And outside of that, Stephen King wanted to have his name taken off.
Well, he did get, yeah, he had a, there was a
but
lawsuit.
he didn't. They did it anyway because they put it on the movie posters and like completely steamrolled Stephen King.
Well,
so like,
no, there was a lawsuit, and Stephen
there was
King
a huge lawsuit.
He got some money.
He did, because our boy Stephen King doesn't fuck around.
No, he don't play that shit.
He doesn't play that shit. But like this movie has no connection to the short story, which is way more intense. Yeah. But like somebody does get murdered by a lawnmower, and then when they find his body was in the bird bath. That whole sequence of events. The cop says, "Oh yeah, they found his body in the bird bath." Blah 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 blah. It is verbatim the scene in the short story where they find his body in the bird bath. So that's the only connection.
So it's totally a Stephen King story.
Yeah, no, Stephen King should be like just cool with it.
Well, if Kubrick's The Shining can be a Stephen King story,
yeah, no, 100%. This is less Stephen King than The Shining. Like the Stephen King short story has nothing to do with virtual reality.
Nope.
Literally is about like a demon lawnmower man that eats dead things.
Well, he just like he eats all the lawn. He eats the lawn.
Yeah, he eats all the lawn clippings,
and then he comes after you.
And then he eats you.
Stephen King loves to just look at stuff in the house and be like, "Man, what if that was?
What is that evil fucking lamp? What if it's an evil desk?" But like this movie, like here's the thing. This movie is one of those movies that it like disturbed me like back in the 90s because like there's that whole moment where he like downloads his guts into the internet and like bangs somebody in it.
That's the only part I remember.
It's the only part anybody remembers. But like it looked like a music video. Like, look, man, watch this movie because it is so bad. And it is so confusing, and it is nothing like what the internet will be or what VR will be. Nope. But there's like some legit like horrifying moments in it where I'm like, I'm disturbed by it, but it's so bad.
There's some decent like, I mean, it was cutting edge technology for the time.
Sure.
It does make you like go, oh man, the 90s weren't so hot when technology.
They also didn't understand what virtual reality was.
That's right. They're like, what are you so... Anyway, so I'm going to take a hard left turn from
Thank God.
Lawnmower Man, and I'm throwing in my 1992 pick, which was the Belgian
Man
film,
Bites Dog! Wow! Damn!
So we're going to so it gets super dark with this one.
Yeah. What a fucking pivot.
Well,
after Lawnmower Man.
What I think is funny is that like everybody kind of talks about, Cannibal Holocaust, and then they talk about Blair Witch Project when it comes to like found footage movies or like, faux documentaries. And everybody just seems to forget about Man Bites Dog from 1992 from Belgium, which is basically, it's a documentary crew that's following a serial killer around doing his serial killing. And they're trying to stay out of the story and just watch him do his thing, which I'm just like, wait, what? You can't do that.
This is kind of like a proto version of Behind a Mask, then. Huh?
Yeah, yes, or Creep. 100%. I was gonna say this is like more like Creep than anything.
That's right. So, have either of you seen this film?
No.
Oh no. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I won't spoil it much, but I will say that like our lead actor, the guy who plays the documentarian, and the cinematographer on screen, they are the three directors. Like they basically created this film, and it's an astonishing piece of just like gonzo filmmaking, and a little bit of social commentary thrown in, and it gets it's super funny. Like it's a black comedy for a lot of it, and then it gets super dark, and you're like, oh dear, because the documentary crew, as you can imagine, kind of start becoming complicit in these crimes and actually also getting involved in these crimes. So it's well worth checking out. So that's
I love the fact that Lucy and I are picking these like trash watch movies, and you're like, here's
you're
one
going for hits.
The genre. But yeah, no, this is like a precursor to
precursor. Is that a
that's
word?
what I call it.
Yeah, it's like a predatory precursor.
yeah, it's coming for you, but it's not there yet. To like Creep.
Yeah.
and
Which I like.
actually
I like
really
Creep
love
too.
Creep. I love
Yeah.
both of those movies.
Oh, D. Crushley shouted out the last broadcast in the
Oh,
chat
heck
there.
yeah. Yep.
That's another
Yeah.
one I've been meaning to get my eyeballs on because it looks awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, if like Man Bites Dog is like why we have movies like Blair Witch and
Bingo.
Creep.
Bingo.
So
I
yeah,
concur.
that is one of those like historical moments. That's a museum piece to watch and go, oh wow, no one had done this before.
Yeah.
And like really, really like laid the groundwork for all these like, well, because we were just talking about Host and Dash Cam and all those movies like would not exist without Man Bites Dog.
Wow.
Agreed. So let's jump ahead, and we're celebrating our 25th,
back in time
25th anniversary films. Lucy.
1997.
Let me set the scene. The pants were 18 inches wide at the feet. We had ball chain necklaces. Corn and Limp Bizkit were on every radio. Boom.
My so-called life was wrapping up.
Okay, anyway, my 1997 pick is going to be Scream 2.
Yeah! I
Scream
love
2.
this movie. Good call.
I do too. You know, it's super fun. It takes I don't know, it takes all the stuff that was really fun about the first Scream, and they do ratchet it up. It's not quite as scary as the first one. Not saying much since the first one's not all that scary.
No, it really
but,
isn't. It's more fun than anything.
But this one is even more fun. Sydney and Jamie Kennedy, whatever his character's name is, they've
he plays Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah. It's hard to separate them.
Jada Pinkett is in this film.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
for
Before
5 minutes.
she was Jada Pinkett Smith.
Truth.
And she was still with. No, wait. Tupac was dead, wasn't he?
Right.
Anyway,
this is like right after Demon Night, like right in that sweet spot.
Yeah. And basically, Sydney and Jamie Kennedy have gone off to college, and they continue the meta commentary thing, talking about how sequels got to be bigger and badder and higher body count and crazier kills and stuff. And it starts with a wonderful sequence of them going to see Stab 2 in the theater, and a terrible murder taking place, and the crowd is just super into it because they think it's like a shadow cast situation.
Right,
but it's
right.
It's a fantastic cold open, and the movie's really good too. The climax sequence with who is revealed to be Ghostface in this film is awesome, and there's lots of great theatrical dance stuff in there that's really nice.
Yeah, I totally dug this one, and I think kind of to your point, like it points up the fact that sequels aren't as scary because, you know, the idea has already been explored. And so they do just go for the bigger and the better and the more
just
confusing.
Crank everything up to 11.
Yep. And they do a great job with it. I mean, I know this is kind of the one that cemented what would become the, you know, late 90s, early 2000s slasher wave, because then you couldn't get away from the slashers, the new millennial slashers.
Urban legend.
So like, because like this is this before The Faculty? Because I think that movie is like the definitive 90s horror movie.
I think Faculty's either 97 or 98.
Yeah,
nice. Okay.
I love that
right
movie,
in there.
though.
I feel like if you're going to talk about 90s horror movie, you have to talk about The Faculty. That is not my pick, by the way.
What is your pick, Chad?
It's a little film.
Pretty good, right?
I don't know if you've seen this. It's a little Lovecraftian, like Carl Sagan journey. We like to call Event Horizon. Nice. One of the scariest movies ever made, and I stand by it. It's still fucking scary. It's still so good. It's still so weird, and it's just, people say it's a sci-fi movie. It's not. It is a straight up horror Lovecraft experience.
See,
you got
I
your
haven't
Sam
seen this
Neill.
one either.
You've never seen this?
No, I just recently got into the cosmic horror thing. So
it is a sci-fi. It's a sci-fi premise, but it's absolutely a horror film.
Absolutely a horror movie.
It's almost like a Hellraiser movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's about as sci-fi as Hellraiser.
I've seen a lot of stills and scenes and stuff, and it looks so cool. I just haven't.
Oh my gosh!
You know,
this is why I hate that you live in another plane of existence and not in our plane, because I want you to come over, because I want to watch this movie with you, because I've never seen this movie with someone who's never seen it before, and I want to have that experience, because oh my god, Oh my God, seeing this movie for the first time, it's still so scary. It's still so jumpy, and it's still just so wild, and it just goes buck nuts by
Well,
the
hey,
end of it.
knowing what I know about you, go play around in traffic. You'll get a one-way ticket.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, like, I can come over anytime. You said so.
Yeah, totally. You're more than
Well,
welcome.
you got your Sam Neill, you got your Larry Fishburne, you got so many character actors that you know from so many movies in this movie, and they're just trying to hold on tight to this thrill ride. And there's so many imagery in this film that's practical that like sticks with you and will just like In the Mouth of Madness, which wasn't that long after this movie.
Great movie
Which
too.
just
In
like
the Mouth of Madness preceded this one.
Oh, this was that was first? Okay,
Yep.
cool. Because like this is in like when Samuel was just like, I'm just gonna go straight crazy.
Yep.
And then he makes Event Horizon, I guess. And
Do you
this
read
movie
Sutter Kane?
exactly. It's as crazy. It's like think of like a Lovecrafty 2001. And you got this movie.
Yeah. That's
well, I don't want to
that's
talk too much about it if Lucy hasn't seen it.
No, we're not. We won't.
Don't worry, I don't listen.
Okay, cool.
Oh wait, that was supposed to be on the inside.
Okay, cool. But like, there's so many like weird. There's so like iconic weird imagery.
It's also just gory as hell.
It's gory as hell and messed up.
Yeah.
And like it's like a Tool video at one point on a spaceship. Oh shit, it's time.
Sorry, that was my bomb.
Oh God, here we go. But like, yeah, it was Sam Neill in Possession, Mouth of Madness, Event Horizon, unofficial trilogy in your mind, D. Crutchley.
Nice.
You're not
Very
wrong
good.
about that.
Oh yeah.
But like, this movie
good.
is such a solid horror. It's still so good.
Yep.
It's brutal. It's surgically scary.
Well,
like,
nice. I like that.
I like that.
It feels like it's going right for your bits. And like
it was now here's the funny part is it's directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, who would go on to direct Resident Evil and Death Race and a bunch of
he's the guy Mia Jovovich is like his muse.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So there is a line in this movie that has nothing to do with Mia Jovovich, where Lawrence Fishburne. Okay, so loose plot. They find a spaceship that's been lost. And it comes back from the Event Horizon of a black hole. And they're like, oh, we got to go check it out. And Sam Neill is the guy that designed the ship. And he's just like, oh, my baby. I love my baby. And he's getting like dreams from his spaceship. And it's like very Lovecrafty. And then they go to the spaceship and shit went down. And at one point they get this like transmission that they sent before they disappeared. And it's in Latin. And it's like liberate tutime exun feris. And it keeps going back and forth on you know what it means. And so like they're trying to like translate it. And the guy translates it wrong. And then he goes, I think I translated it wrong. I think it means liberate tutime exun feris. It means blah, 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 blah. And then Lawrence Fishburne looks at the camera and goes, from hell. And everything changes. And that is why Lawrence Fishburne should be in every horror film.
Wait, Lawrence. Wait, is that the Cowboy Curtis?
Yeah, it's Cowboy Curtis.
Nice, yeah.
Cowboy Morpheus is in this movie.
Cowboy Morpheus, that's right.
And
he kills that line.
The red pill or the blue pill?
The blue pill. Oh, the secret word was blue pill. But like there was a moment in that movie where it's kind of like Michael Ironside, who's like one of the only actors that could ever deliver the line "they sucked his brains out" correctly. Like Lawrence Fishburne's the only human that could say "from hell" correctly to the point where it like kills you in your guts. Oh my God, I can't believe you haven't seen this movie, Lucy.
Well,
I want to watch this movie on Zoom.
Well, we should set that up. We should set up a live stream of just us watching this movie.
Oh my gosh, this movie like ages like wine. It's still so good to rewatch.
Ages like cheese. Okay, so I'm gonna do another hard left. I apologize.
What? You're right. We're wrong. You're a doctor.
No. My 1997 is Michael Haneke's Kick to the Groin.
Funny Games. Yeah. Oh, this movie's dark.
Yeah, that's a heavy one.
This movie's not a Halloween watch, everybody. It's not a gooey candy.
Yeah. Well, I kind of like our bouillabaisse that we're creating here, where we got some fun, and then
punch you right in the stomach.
Because that's you doing it.
Yep, that's
like
me.
Lucy and I are having a good time, and then you're like, hey, you know what's not
I'm
funny?
like,
Euthanasia.
It's like you're the cool older brother, and we're like, oh, let's watch this movie. And you're like, you want to see some shit? I got you.
Yeah, we're like, hey, you guys want to play 13 Dead End Drive? And Dr. AC's like, let's play with a Ouija board.
No, first you got to put your blood on it.
Yeah. You guys want to summon your dead mother?
Oh, I love Full Metal Alchemist. That's
Yeah.
So Funny Games is Michael Haneke's. It's his kind of assault on society, saying, "Hey, you know, these films are too violent, but we're going to keep watching them." And he's like going, "Well, if you want to keep watching them, I'm going to give you like the darkest one I can, and you can turn it off anytime you want." There are a couple.
He's like daring you to watch the movie.
Totally, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, he is really putting things in front of you. He's like, if you hate it so much, why are you still here? Why are you still watching? Why haven't you left the theater? Which some people have said, hey, that's bullshit. You know, you presented a movie. I'm going to watch your movie so I can actually judge it. But there are moments in this film that challenge what cinema can be. There's one moment in particular where you think that the heroes have turned it around, and then the villains take it back, and you go, hey, that's not fair. You can't do that. And that's the
it's nihilistic, right?
You're like, we're screwed. You can't, there's no winning. And that was where I went, I'm in, you know, I've never seen anything like that feels like something that's completely original to me.
I would say Speak No Evil, the new one that you can watch now on, I think it's on Hulu. I don't know.
It's on Shudder too.
It's on Shudder. That's the one. Speak No Evil is like close to Funny Games.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That movie's dark as hell. I'm going to post about that tomorrow. That was my Terror 14 watch, which was the whole time I was like, this is like Funny Games, where I thought I was going to get out of this movie, and it turns out I died there, and I'm still there.
So that's you bring up a good point about how, like, you know, he's daring you to watch the film and he's pushing boundaries. And some folks are like, well, that's bullshit. You made a movie. I'm going to watch the movie.
Right.
I think the thing that makes it not bullshitty is, with as unforgiving and painful as it is, it's a good movie. And the point it's getting across is like salient, and it makes sense the whole time. Like, there's a lot of movies that try to do that. Oh gosh, excuse me.
Damn.
Oh man,
that's how good this movie was. It made a demon hiccup.
Yeah, but there's a lot of films out there that try to do that, and just really can't. I'm looking at a Serbian film. I'm looking at a lot of movies that they have a point, and like, sure, they're making it, but they don't do it in a truly like.
Well, I think like a Serbian
powerful,
film is just exploitation
way.
At that point.
Like,
they're just trying to see how gross they can be.
I've never been to Serbia, and the guy who made it claims that it's about stuff. So, you know, he probably knows better than I do. But
true,
it's the tone does feel very exploitative.
It
and that's
doesn't
what makes
get
the movie
message,
not play.
Right. It doesn't get the message across. Whereas Funny Games, I think, actually does.
Did either of you see the remake with Naomi Watts and Tim Roth?
I did. I was bored.
I didn't. No,
I was bored with it.
Well, it does. It's basically it's shot for shot. It is line for line. It is it is like, people talk about Gus Van Sant's remake of Psycho, and it's like, no, this is a filmmaker remaking his own film and repeating himself down the line. The only thing that's different is the cast and the language.
Well, I thought that what it was like, you had more money. He was like trying to do the movie he wanted to do, but I thought that this one was the better movie.
Yeah, well, nothing changes really. I mean, I don't know if there was more money, because it's pretty much the same. It's the same movie. Nothing feels different. And I did kind of question that, because I'm like, you know, you got, you know, it's 10 years later. You have nothing more you want to say about the subject.
Right.
You're just doing it.
It breaks no new ground. It doesn't retread on anything. It's just as dark and weird as the first one. But just watch the first one.
Yeah. To that point, like, if you don't like reading subtitles, then yes, you can get the Naomi Watts one. It's the same.
Also, if you like
movie.
Naomi Watts, always like happy to see her in a movie.
Sure.
Oh, and also, if you don't like reading subtitles, grow up.
Come on, you're reading and watching a movie.
You're only screwing yourself out of fantastic films if you won't watch something with subtitles.
What I loved, it's a little sidebar here, but I love that when Marvel did Shang-Chi, And it's like, okay, all you Marvel fanboys, you're gonna have to read subtitles. Sorry.
Yeah.
That was awesome. All right. Well, I promise that I'm not going to bring the room down for 2002. We got 3
Yay!
really fun ones coming up.
Yeah.
So 2002, Lucy, bring us home.
Well, it's kind of hard to bring the room down with early 2000s horror. Even the intense stuff was like campy and colorful and over the
Right.
top and fun in its own weird way. But my 2002 choice, only because House of a Thousand Corpses came out 1 year later, was Eight-Legged Freaks.
Fuck yeah!
This movie,
banner
man, oh man, like it's man. Okay, so you got David Arquette.
David Arquette's in it,
pulling that great face for the poster.
Yeah, he's in the poster.
Love it. And
also says the titular line.
Eight-Legged
Freaks.
Yeah, awesome. He said the name of the movie in the movie. Yeah. And but
What
what I really like about this one is it's like so of its time. It's this perfect send up to like classic 50s sci-fi giant bug movies, and it's also so 2000s it hurts. Like they got guys on dirt bikes kicking spiders in the head, and it's goopy and gross and just so much fun seeing people all wrapped up in web sacks and stuff,
and like legit disturbing when the spiders like actually get you. It's just like, oh shit, like that's real.
They were freaky. They were definitely freaky and
CGI, but like also freaky.
And also, this was like Scooby-Doo CGI, but when we saw it at the time, you're like, holy fucking shit, that's a giant spider. They also had a really fun like Doom reskin that you could download off of the movie company's website there.
For you kids watching right now, Doom was a game that you could play on your computer.
Now you had to open MS-DOS and type in the file path. But no, they had like a sort of Doom reskin that had you in a movie theater and a mall, and you're like looking after big spiders. They never finished it. They were always like, oh, the full version of the game's coming out. It never came out.
That's such a cool movie that you brought up. Like, cause like I remember seeing Eight-Legged Freaks in the movie theater and being like, I hate it, but I also love it because like I know what you're doing. You're making like this is a trash watch, and it's still a good trash watch.
Yeah, you're intentionally making a like B-roll movie.
Unlike Slither, which is like too good to be a B-roll movie.
Yeah, and Eight-Legged Freaks doesn't fall into that thing that a lot of like attempted B movies do, where like it doesn't ever feel like they cut corners or anything to be like, well, it's supposed to suck, so we don't have to try that.
Right.
It feels like a labor of love, even when it's kind of corny. Like it's just very entertaining.
Well, and I think it knows what it is, and it doesn't. It is funny as opposed to being a comedy for the sake of not having to deliver the scares.
Yeah, and it knows what it is by coming to it from a place of loving the things that made it what it is.
Yeah, it's not.
And it's not cynical.
It doesn't feel nihilistic or cynical. It feels goofy and fun.
Did you see Big Ass Spider, Mike Mandez's film?
Yeah.
I feel like those two play well together.
Yeah, it's a solid pairing.
Yeah, it's like a port and cheddar or whatever. I don't know why.
It's a Negroni.
Whatever.
Spagliato. With a Prosecco.
I like the fact that you have 2 David Arquette films in your that you're celebrating.
Somebody's David Arquette stan.
Look, he's handsome, and he's a pro wrestler, and he's Bozo now.
Yeah, he's Bozo now.
Oh, what?
Yeah, he bought the rights to Bozo the Clown.
Did not know that.
If you know the Bob Baker Marionette Theater, they're like a Southern California marionette institution, been around since the 60s or whatever. But he goes around to a lot of their stuff and does Bozo now.
That's amazing. Let us jump over to you, Chad, for your pick.
I'm so glad you asked. Speaking of goofy good times, I picked a little film of with a horror B movie icon named Bubba Ho-Tep. And here's the thing about this movie. If you haven't seen it, I don't even know what we're doing here. Like, I don't know how to describe this movie. You have Ozzie Davis. You've got the King, Bruce Campbell,
Playing the king.
The King, yeah,
Oh.
actually playing the King. So you've got okay, all right. Let me set this movie up for people who haven't seen it. Lucy, you've seen this movie, right?
Oh yeah. See, I was when we were organizing this and I saw you picked Bubba Ho-Tep, I was so happy because I almost felt bad for picking eight-legged freaks off of Bubba
Right.
Ho-Tep.
Here's the thing about Bubba Ho-Tep. It is it's like precursor to like Cabin in the Woods when like the horror comedy actually like gained its like traction as a genre. Like there were horror comedies, of course, but like they never really nailed it. And except for like Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein.
Sure.
But like it just
Scary
wasn't,
Movie 2.
Scary Movie 2 is a spoof though.
No, that's true.
Like,
that's true.
right?
It's not a straight horror comedy.
It's not a
Yeah,
straight
that's fair.
horror movie with comedy, like with like it's not
It's
not
like a
comedy in horror
screwball
universe.
thing with a horror
Right.
T-shirt on. Yeah.
Bubba Ho-Tep was like, all right, you know what? Screw it. We're gonna take the guy like Evil Dead 2. I don't even know if I would call it a horror comedy.
No, it's just a funny horror
movie, right?
Yeah.
Like it's only funny if you're like laughing with it. If you're not, you're like horrified by it. Bubba Ho-Tep just goes the extra mile and makes some kind of B movie creature out of Bruce Campbell playing Elvis,
And
Ozzie Davis.
You gotta lightly say Bruce Campbell playing Elvis because it's just Bruce Campbell doing a sort of corny Southern accent.
Right. Obviously, he's not Elvis. They're crazy. And so Ozzie Davis also plays John F. Kennedy. He had his brain removed and replaced with a bag of sand. And the two of them are in a convalescent home that is attacked by an actual mummy, nightmare creature.
In Cowboy Does.
Cowboy Does. So, like, if you want to see Bruce Campbell as a crazy person who thinks he's Elvis, Ozzie Davis as a crazy person who thinks he's JFK, fighting an actual mummy, then this is your movie. And that is why it's funny. It's not really funny. Like, at the end of them, it's really about getting old. Like, there's, like, so many lines in this movie that, like, actually hit and are kind of sad. Like Bruce Campbell's monologue at the end about like one last ride into the sunset hurts, man. Like it's a bummer. But
and
like
the scene with the daughter of his
Right.
roommate that
Right.
that was pretty heavy too.
It unveils itself as like something that is about the horror of aging, but like still retains how much fun this movie can be. I think this is like a classic that nobody talks. I think it's underrated and should be higher up on the list of movies.
Well, it's based on this story by Joe R. Lansdale.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
and it's directed by Don Coscarelli, who did the Phantasm movies.
Phantasm movies, yeah.
And Beastmaster, for that matter.
Oh, I didn't know he did Beastmaster.
Yeah, he did all the Beastmasters.
Oh. He's like the George Miller of Beastmaster.
It's sort of got that Phantasm feel to it, too. That dreamy sort of weird vibe, yeah.
But I think, it's one of the best things Bruce Campbell has ever done as an actor.
Hands down.
Oh, yeah.
Like
totally.
He's genuinely, you have genuine empathy for him. And I actually kind of love the idea that like he is Elvis and that Ozzie Davis is JFK.
Yeah, that's how I watch it every time.
I'm like when Ozzie Davis says they dyed me this color, I literally fall on the floor.
Yeah.
I also like man, you came in here to show me shithouse graffiti.
I love when he comes up with the name of the mummy. Like where he's just like some kind of Bubba Ho-Tep. And you're like, oh, that's why it's called Bubba Ho-Tep. Okay, cool.
Oh, it's because Elvis thought that was the name.
That was his name. I think that movie is like
that
one of those like deconstruction films where you're like, give it a minute. Like give it it's indie as fuck. And like, but like give it a minute because Bruce Campbell's in it. And like these are not like low hitters. Like everybody in this movie is giving it their all. Well, and there are some legit scary stuff.
I think this film does not punch down either. I
think it doesn't. It doesn't. It punches up.
Yep.
What were you saying, Lucy? I'm sorry.
Oh, the first time I saw it, this was like, gosh, maybe 10 years ago, the first time I watched this movie. And I just got into it as like a silly, I went to it with a more comedy kind of mind. And I showed it to some friends recently, and that's when sort of the like deeper layers of stuff in there really showed themselves to me, and it made me enjoy the movie a lot more. Actually.
I think it's just that's why I think it's underrated because everybody says that it's a horror comedy. I'm like, well, it's funny, but I think it's a horror movie through and through because like the horrors that they play on is like, yeah, there's this mummy who's like an undead entity,
stuck in
like
souls.
Stuck in souls, right? And it's all about losing, it's all about dying and like becoming old and like disappearing and like dementia and that kind of stuff. And like that's truly horrifying. And I think they really laid into it.
It's telling you a sad story with a clown wig.
With a clown, yeah, exactly.
Maybe it resonates more because it's 20 years later in our lives, folks.
Shut up.
Also, I was high when I watched it.
Shut up.
All right, Dr. AC, bring us home.
So I'm gonna bring in Dog Soldiers.
Oh my god!
I didn't decide to kick everybody in the groin for one final shot. Dog Soldiers is probably my favorite werewolf movie.
Oh, interesting.
I think it is. I think it does everything right, and what it does that's different than other werewolf movies is that it sets up. Whereas we're generally asked to identify with the werewolf itself and the torture of the curse and all that. This is just a straight up siege movie where we have a group of I think they're like Scottish National Guardsmen who are out on maneuvers and they get attacked by a bunch of friggin' werewolves. And they end up like
that's it. That's the whole movie.
They end up taking up refuge in a cabin in the woods, and just the werewolves just keep on coming. And I think the werewolf design is so incredible. Neil Marshall, who would later go on to do The Descent, this is his first film. And I just feel like it's a great film, but it's also one that's genuinely fun. Like there are definitely references to all of Neil Marshall's favorite movies. You get references to Predator and Aliens, and like there's a lot of aliens in this movie.
Yeah, there really is.
It's funny that you say that because the first time I saw it, I was like, "Oh, this is like Predator but werewolves."
Yeah.
Well, I also think the design of those werewolves is like legitimately interesting and fascinating because they look like sheepdogs, right? And like where we normally see them as just like feral wolves. They're majestic in a way.
Yeah.
Well, he's huge.
He hired dancers on stilts to play the werewolves. Like they're not just stuntmen. Like he wanted them to move.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Move in a graceful way. Dee Crushley just said that, like this one just got remastered. That is true. And Shout Factory put out an amazing UHD 4K restoration from the original negative. Wow. And it's astonishing. It looks great.
I like in the end credits where it shows all the photographs.
That's
awesome to me. But I do got to say, Doc, Dog Soldiers is your favorite werewolf movie is a weird way to say Company of Wolves is the best werewolf movie. But I guess I'll let it slide. Have you seen The Cursed?
Wait, the Wes Craven one?
I haven't watched any
one. No,
not
the Wes Craven one. It did Sundance as 8 for Silver. It was
I have not seen that one yet.
Oh man, you gotta. It's
okay.
Like I'll go full disclosure here, and anyone in the chat that agrees, back me up, please. Don't leave me to die here. But a lot of times when I watch a werewolf movie, I sit there and I think like, wow, who's this guy? Take me out to dinner, maybe. Take my hand. Let's go somewhere. I think they're handsome. They're just, man. Oh, even the really gnarly ones, like American Werewolf in London. I'm just transfixed more than I am afraid. And The Cursed really was like a frightening werewolf film.
Ooh,
it
right.
really scared me pretty well.
It was going to be on my top, my 22 terrors of Halloween this year, but it's not from 2022.
Yeah,
but it's
and
very good.
It's also not particularly Halloween-y. Like it's got autumnal vibes, but it's a pretty bleak movie.
Yeah, it's dark.
I do. Now you did reference Company of Wolves. Is that your favorite werewolf movie?
Oh yeah, I love Company of Wolves.
It's a great movie.
Like that one's up there.
And it's another Neil. It's a Neil Jordan.
Really? Wow, that guy loves werewolves. Awesome.
If you're gonna make a good werewolf movie,
probably
just name your kid Neil.
I'd say my favorite werewolf movie is Ginger Snaps.
Oh, that's another really good.
Love it. Yes, that they did do that for the Space Truckers as well. Stuart Gordon's Space Truckers. And yes, that is also true. Angela Carter.
Oh man, D with the Kinos. Look at D going.
Well, cool. Well, thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you for. We made it through. We went a little bit over, and that's okay because that means it's a good party.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's true.
And this is all, of course, benefiting Scare-A-Thon 2022, which is benefiting the Women's Reproductive Rights Assistance Project. Again, the link to donate is below in the description. Even $5 makes a huge difference, and
Big difference.
we've gone over $5,000. We're headed for 6 at this point. We got 10 days to go. So please consider making a contribution. Please consider spreading the link around. Thank you so much to Chad the Bird and Lucy for showing up tonight.
Hey, thank you for having us, Doc. This was a blast.
And always welcome on the Birdcast, and I'm just so happy that the two of you have met at this point.
Yeah, it feels serendipitous almost. But also, folks, really go to that link down there and donate some stuff because, we've talked about a lot of fun scares and some not so fun scares. But what's really scary is the government taking people's rights away. That's harrowing shit.
Yeah, that's legit, not fun scare.
Yep, agreed. And
ending on a downer like a real demon. Yeah,
thanks, demon.
I want to try and save this somehow, but
no, it's too bad. It's too scary.
That's my evil plot all along.
But thank you all again. This is Horror 101 with Dr. AC, and this has been Tricks and Treats, Birds and Balls. Please keep exploring, keep sharing the scare.